sharing video. Repeat, this is not a ride sharing video. Understand a lot of this is Trump MAGA related, so that can lead to a little bit of a ban or delay. So if you're watching it on YouTube, you could be a couple days behind. But we'll get it to you as soon as we can. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Excuse the clothing, excuse the shirt. It's a warm day out, but I figured I'd come to you because today we're going to be talking about something that just seems to continue to permeate the news. Does not seem to be going away no matter what the hell we do. So we're going to be discussing what can we do to move on from this. As you see, the live stream is titled 2020 Election Legacy. How can we move on from this? As we know, President Trump certainly believes that the 2020 election was stolen from him. But what we're trying to find out is how can we as a nation, particularly my beloved MAGA, how can we move on from what we believed happened in 2020? Whether you believe the election was held properly and Biden won rightfully, or you believe that the liberals and most of the Trump administration helped the liberals steal the election from Trump, one way or another, we have to move on from this. But how can we do that? We obviously realize Trump is still in the election for 2024, still traveling the country suggesting that the election was stolen. So what will be the legacy of this? How will history judge the 2020 election? And last but not least, I repeat the question, how can we move on from this so that it does not continue to divide us as voters, divide this nation, and divide us politically? As always, it is a MAGA-friendly program. MAGA are my preferred guests, and nevertheless, liberals are welcome as well. We do not block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. So understand when you come in the box, you don't have to agree with the host. Nobody's going to censor you because you have a difference of opinion with the host. Nobody gives a damn. Tap the screen, get your boy up to 5,000, 600 of you in here already. The question we're asking is, how can we move on from what President Trump is stating that he believes took place in the 2020 election? Widespread fraud in a host of states. How can we move on from that? Looking in the comments right off the bat, Grilla says Trump is setting up his insanity plea. Wow. Are you suggesting that number 45 President Trump will ultimately plead that he's insane? Isn't that what folks suggested Biden? If Biden has dementia, doesn't know where he's at, cannot string together a sentence. Trump pleading insanity. Really? Wow. All right, keeping it moving. Love your show. Wish I could get in the box. Dynamite Dave. If you have the required necessities of TikTok, submit your entry. I'll certainly bring you up. You don't have to agree with me. You can certainly counter me on anything you want. If you believe the host is full of shit, by all means, tell the host you're full of shit, but be willing to orate your point because you will be challenged, but you will not be blocked, banned, or censored. Going straight to the box. We'll keep it moving with Real Indiana Jones. Hopefully he's not flying a small aircraft or landing on the wrong runway. Real Indiana Jones, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How do we get beyond what happened in 2020?
You know, sir, I have a little bit on that myself. However, I have to agree with a lot of things you were saying.
Hang on, I really can barely hear you. I can barely hear you right now.
I think that's what's there. Is that any better?
Not really.
Is that any better there?
I can hear you enough. Go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say, I have to agree with you. A lot of things about that. I think on both sides. I think with the deception of them claiming that elections was stolen, things like that, I think that does divide, everyone. I think it separated them. I think maybe there possibly was a lot of, stolen elections on both sides. However, I don't know if it was enough to swing either way. I'm not sure about that.
Right.
I can say it has definitely divided this country.
Yeah.
I mean, I see that. I mean, bad. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
So at the end of the day, how do we? You're admitting that the way the 2020 election was viewed has been incredibly divisive to this nation. But how do you think we could move on from that?
Honestly, I think if someone knew the truth, I think withholding that information is more damage to this country than just coming out and telling the damn truth. You know what I mean? I think had they would have just come out on either side and admitted the truth. I don't think
But
we would
but
be in
but
this
wait a minute.
situation.
When you suggest that if someone admits the truth, if you got folks like Attorney General Barr telling Trump that all of the things you're claiming is not true, is it not a case of Attorney General Barr perhaps telling the truth?
I mean, it could be. I mean, a possibility. But the problem is with that, sir, if they're not, telling that, hey, man, he's lied, and this is the proof. I think the proof is in the pudding. I think whoever has the proof should lay it down because it's way past time. It has clearly divided this country. It's divided everyone on both sides. So it'd be like you and me in an election, and you stole the election, right? I have the proof, and I'm withholding it, knowing that I'm doing more damage to the country by not sharing that information. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you. So let's go with
If they have the proof, they should have laid it down. You know what? That's what I agree with.
so
I
when
don't
you
think that damage in the country in this aspect was the answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So when we look at the Dominion, because obviously President Trump alleged that a host of different levels of fraud took place. Now, when you talk about we need to see the proof, let's start out with the Dominion machine, since that would have affected millions of people. I mean, at this point, do you believe President Trump and his administration has laid out the proof to justify what they said about those machines?
I don't see that. I just don't see it. I'm sorry. I like Trump. I voted for him, and I'll still vote for him again. I just don't see the proof. If he has the proof with the Dominion, it should have been laid down immediately.
Right.
But to divide the country has been more damaged. What he has done, if he absolutely had the truth and proof, he should have laid it down. It should have never gone this far. I think that has destroyed this country on both sides. You literally almost have people rioting because of it. You can't even have a conversation with anyone without them getting offended on either side.
Yeah.
And the only thing is everyone is looking for the truth. And if they have the truth, just lay it down. It's way past that time. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. So let me ask you this. We're talking 3 years later. Nothing, in your opinion, not enough proof has come forward, say with the Dominion case. Is it possible at all, when it comes to the Dominion voting machines, that what they are alleging 3 years later with not enough proof, in your opinion, is it possible that they made it all up?
I mean, it very well could be, and that's the dirty thing about politics. They lie on both sides and get by with it. And truly, I seen Hillary Clinton do it. I seen her do it back in 2015 and 2016. Trump did it after he claimed he lost, or claiming he didn't lose, I should say, but he said the election was stolen. And when you put that kind of a doubt in the people and the society's minds, now they no longer have any trust or faith in our in our politics anymore, or in our procedures with the elections. And that has done more damage to this country than someone just making out a downright lie. You know what I mean?
Right. So let me ask you.
He had the proof. He should have laid it down on the line and said, look, this is my proof. Instead of playing games with their politics, this has done a lot of damage to our country. Far more
So
damage than anybody.
So let me ask you for your honest opinion. We don't know, because this is clearly so this is definitely speculating. But after 3 years, it's almost been 3 years since the election. If you had to guess, if you had to speculate, what do you think the election, or what do you think the legacy of the 2020 election will be? How do you think history will view the 2020 election?
You know, man, that's a tough question. And to be honest with you, I don't want to offend anyone. And people are so easy to offend. But I think at this point here, I think it's going to go down in history as one of the most shameful things that our country has seen on both sides. Not just one side. This is on both sides.
But okay,
Because
But what? Wait a minute. What has you say is going to go down as a shameful election on both sides? In regards to the 2020 election, what has the Democrats, in your opinion, did that will go down in history as shameful?
Well, if they did it and Trump has approved, he should have came out and showed it. If he hasn't, that's a great big if. And I think at this point here, we can all say we agree. I don't believe he has approved. It would have came out. Honestly, that's my honest.
So why would it go down in history as shameful for the Democrats if you're saying that Trump has not produced proof of anything he's alleging?
That's what I'm saying. And this right here, I've seen lies on both sides. I've seen the lies with Joe Biden. He's made many lies. I mean, there isn't anything hardly comes out of a man's mouth.
But wait a minute, hold on. You're talking about Joe Biden's performance as president. We can talk about that, but we're talking about the election. We're talking about the election. What will go down in history as shameful from the liberal side?
I mean, I'm saying on both sides. I'm not saying just on the left. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying on both sides. You're looking at corruption on both sides. And to fix this, someone just needs to come out and just tell the damn truth. You know what I mean?
But you're not giving me what I don't think you're quite answering the question. You're saying it's going to go down as shameful on both sides. I'm asking you, what did the liberals do in the 2020 election if Trump does not present proof that it was stolen?
They're wanting us to believe that Biden won by 71 million votes. I mean, you really believe that he got more votes than Barack Obama?
But
that would be like wishing upon the star. You know what I mean?
But where is the proof?
At this point, well, that's the thing. I don't have the proof. I can't prove that. This is all speculation, as you said. This is my opinion, only. And I can tell you, as a previous investigator, I investigate things, and I wouldn't make a comment if I didn't feel comfortable about it. But if you have the proof, it should have came out. So at this point here, on both sides, neither one of them is saying the truth. Now, the Democrats,
but hold on. You keep saying both sides. I'm trying to find out if it's shameful for both sides. What is the evidence, proof that the liberals did anything? Where are you getting the shit? Are we going to judge the liberals based on crowd size?
No, not based. I'm saying if our elections were stolen, we have no longer fair elections. That's my point. If we don't have fair elections, we don't have a country. That's the point I'm trying to make. Is if we don't have fair and honest elections, no one's going to have faith in the system and go see people voting. And right now, we have problems with people not voting.
I'm hearing all of that. I'm hearing all of that, but you're saying it's going to go down historically as shameful on both sides, and I'm asking you, what would be shameful about the 2020? What would be shameful about the Democrats? Huh? Give me. I want to know, what did the liberals do in the 2020 election that was dishonest?
I just told you.
I didn't hear it. What did you say?
I'm saying, sir, that with the dishonesty, they're wanting us to believe Joe Biden's got more votes than Barack Obama. And Barack Obama had way more votes, I believe, than Biden did. So that's the point I'm trying to make. We have a whole lot of dishonesty, and no one wants to just come out and admit what they've done. So if we have dishonesty in our elections, that means no one has a fair and honest election anymore. That's my point.
So your point is the liberals are shameful because they want us to believe Biden got more votes than Obama. So the argument is there's no way that could have happened.
Just don't believe it.
Okay, if you don't,
Don't believe he did.
but if you don't believe it, that's fine. But is there any evidence that that's true?
I have not seen no evidence other than everyone saying it on both sides, just like everybody else does. At this point, all we can do is speculate because we don't have the proof. The ones that have the proof are not showing it or telling anybody.
So
At this point, no one's going to have an answer.
So the Democrats are going to go down in history for performing shamefully in the 2020 election, even though we have no proof anything we're accusing them of happened.
I'm not referring to that. I told you, Joe Biden, I don't believe that he won it. And I know firsthand of some of Biden's corruptions. We all have seen it. That was my point about him being shameful and them putting him in office as president. The man wasn't even qualified to be president. And if you look
Okay. Well,
I'll tell you right now, I voted for Barack Obama. I did the second term because I didn't like how he ran the first term. I voted for Trump because I wanted to change. Our country is being burned to the fucking ground. There wasn't nobody saying anything about it. You know
all
what I
right.
mean? That was the shameful part.
Yeah, but
Nobody wants to admit that.
I think you're mixing, but you're mixing 2 points. I'm asking about the 2020 election. You're talking about the performance of Trump and the performance of Biden. If you think Biden has done a shitty job, that's fine. But that has nothing to do with the 2020 election. You're talking about his presidency.
Great either. I mean, I ran better under him, to be honest with you. But he said that he was going to lock up Hillary. He didn't drain the swamp. There's things that Trump could have done. He could have fixed easily, but he chose not to.
Yeah, you're talking about a different subject. Yeah, but you're talking about a different subject. We're talking about the election. You're talking about how they performed as president. That has nothing to do with the election.
I don't know. As I said, I don't know about the election. I wasn't one to control the election. I don't know.
All right.
This is all speculation on both sides. That's
Oh.
all anybody can do.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. All right, Real Indy.
Take your time, though, buddy.
Hey, appreciate you coming in. Come on back anytime. Okay, looking in the comments. Hopefully, I apologize certainly for you folks on YouTube. I don't even know if you could hear that. I don't know why the audio was so low. Hopefully, this next caller is the audio is better. But the question we're asking. Obviously, President Trump believes the 2020 election was stolen. You heard my last caller, certainly a Trump supporter, and even he is suggesting that if the election was stolen, Trump should have presented more proof by now. However, he does not believe Biden won. He mentioned crowd size. A hell of a lot more folks attending Trump rallies than Biden gatherings. There's no doubt the Trump rallies were much larger in size. So was Bernie Sanders. Now, during the presidential race, we were going through a pandemic. The liberals handled the pandemic completely different than the Republicans. So are we to pretend that had nothing to do with crowd size? When the liberals were saying stay in the house, and the Republicans were like, screw Fauci. If you want to come outside, come outside. Rest in peace, Herman Cain. Going back to the box. We'll keep it moving with whatever. Okay, I love the name. Good afternoon, whatever. Hopefully the audio's better. There we go. That's much better. So, what will the legacy of the 2020 election be?
The division of America is going to be the legacy.
But how do you think?
Just like.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. Do you think? How do you think it will go down? Do you think it'll go down with an asterisk, or the suggestion that Trump won, or will it go down in history as only being divisive because Trump lied?
The latter, because unless there's proof, then he's lying, because he says he has the proof. He said he had the proof since day one.
Yeah.
All the people around him say he has the proof. So he's lying, or he's withholding the truth. And like that guy said, I mean, he's a Trump supporter. He doesn't think that Trump has the proof, and he's hurting America by not giving it, but I'm still going to vote for him.
Yeah, he did say all of that. So at the end of the day, let me ask you as a voter. Now, did you vote for Trump, or you voted left, or you didn't vote at all?
I'll tell you what, I was going to get to the polls come hell or high water, because I have hated Trump since the 1970s with all this crap. There's no way. As a military guy, I know that he was going to give, he's a sellout. I know he's a traitor. I can't prove it, right? I'm not going to condemn him on it. I'm not going to, I may say it because I believe it, and there is proof now.
Right.
But, $2 billion, $3.1 billion to Jared? That $1 billion?
You're talking about with the Saudis. So at the end of the day, so basically you do believe Trump just made up all of the claims of election fraud.
Oh, hell yes.
Wow. Then why do you think so many folks who identify as MAGA believe the opposite?
Because they don't want to admit that they got conned.
Ah, millions of folks.
Don't want to admit. Huh?
Millions of people.
Millions, billions of people. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They don't want to admit they got conned. They hurt. Remember, we had a conversation about racism and everything else.
Okay.
And I spoke about learning that America is not the country I thought it was, right? With actual systemic racism.
Right.
My belief, right?
Okay.
I said I had this pain in my chest, right? When I had to realize that this physical pain in my chest,
Okay.
when I had to realize that, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. I think that those people. He allowed his partner Bannon to steal the money that they gave to build the wall that Trump didn't build the wall.
Wow.
They don't want to believe this stuff because it hurts, because they were conned.
But
Millions of cons happen every year and they're never reported.
jeez.
Nobody wants to admit that they were conned.
Not, but you know, I mean, you talk millions of people, huh? You think that they were conned? They know they were conned, and they just don't want to admit it.
I don't know. I can't say that they believe they were conned. They have an inkling that they might have been conned. They just can't look at it.
But even if you thought you were conned, you heard my last caller admitting Trump has not presented any proof. Not happy that Trump has not presented any proof. But even if you believe you're conned, you're still going to vote for the guy anyway.
But see, this is why I say he has an inkling he was conned, because he admits that Trump has no proof and it's damaging to America, but he's still going to vote for him. But then he continues with other things that are not proven. Right?
Yeah.
That Biden's a traitor, that Biden's destroying America, and you couldn't get him to get one thing on why he believes that.
I tried, man. Because he said,
No, you did. I was right there with you.
yeah, I tried to rephrase it every way from Sunrise. He basically said that.
That's the thing. They know they have an inkling. They have this gut feeling, right? And
Yeah.
and in order to make themselves not feel bad about being conned and not feel this pain, that their hero is condom, they have to sit there and say it makes them feel better to think that, well, Biden's a piece of shit anyway.
Well, speaking of, let me ask you this. From the notion that Biden is a piece of shit, in the comments, MD Smith says, you have to understand, these people care far more about owning the libs than anything else. Do you see any validity to that?
That's what is the policy of the Republican Party? Owning the libs. That's it. It's not about helping America. What are they doing to help America? What are they doing for this country?
Well,
Everything they're doing is owning the libs.
No, they're doing, wait, hold on. Even though you may lean left, I certainly lean left, they're saving lives from the unborn. They're protecting the Second Amendment. They are doing things for the country. I won't say their only policy is owning the libs.
Okay, but what are those two policies?
What do you mean?
What are those two policies? What makes them go for those two particular policies?
They believe in protecting the lives of the unborn. That has nothing to do with the libs. They believe that that's what the Bible would tell them to do.
They call themselves pro-life, correct?
Right.
Okay. Isn't that those same people, the same states, the same senators? Don't most of those states have capital punishment?
That is true.
Why do they go pro-life, yet they won't give anybody free lunches at school, no matter how poor they are?
Yeah, I don't disagree that once the child is born, their stance on being pro-life seems to be hypocritical. I do agree with you there, but you got to admit their pro-life stance is going to save millions of babies that would have otherwise been aborted, and now they're going to have life.
Well, I mean, let's use their logic, okay? Their logic too, right? You said the 2A.
Okay.
Their logic is, if you break into my house, I can shoot you and kill you because I fear for my life.
Yes, they do believe that.
Okay,
Well, but wait a minute. I don't even think.
Hang on. I'm getting there. Hang on.
Okay.
I have stand my ground because it's possible you might kill me, even if you don't have a gun and I shoot you because you're in my house.
That's what I was getting at. That's what I agree with you. I was about to say, I don't even think taking the life of a burglar is even about self-defense. It's just like once you break in my house, you qualify as a murder victim.
Correct. And then, so why doesn't a woman have that same choice with a baby that is inside her that could possibly kill her? It is possible.
Wait a minute. Now you're stretching it. You don't believe that most women that are pregnant and choose to have an abortion are taking the life of a child that could possibly kill her.
No. But
okay.
If you're going to use that same mindset, that who breaks in my door,
Good point. Yeah, I get your point now. That makes sense.
My mindset is, if I can treat that human being like that, then why can't I treat a fetus like that?
Yeah, I mean, I get your point. Yeah, that's.
I honestly don't believe that. I'm just saying that America's a country of laws, and you have to treat people the same, which obviously we know that we don't, right? There's systemic things all over America.
Right.
But the goal here, right, is that everybody's equal. And that we treat everyone the same.
Well, let me interrupt you because I don't want to. We're getting off the topic though. We're talking about the legacy. I don't want to get too deep into an abortion debate. But so at the end of the day, you believe historically Trump will be judged as somebody who just lied and tried to steal the election.
Oh, 100%.
Wow. Could he go down in history as? Because we know right now, President Nixon is probably judged as one of the most corrupt presidents we've ever had. Do you think Trump
and the Nixon family has to be smiling?
Explain to the people why you said that.
Because, I mean, the same reason that anyone whose ancestry goes back to Benedict Arnold has to be smiling. Because Trump is going to go down as a worse traitor. This is my belief. He's going to go down as a worse traitor than Benedict Arnold.
Wow.
We're going to find out. We're going to find out eventually who he gave information to. And my personal belief, and like I said, I'm military. When I saw them walk out on that stage in Helsinki with Putin and Trump, Putin was this proud papa, buddy. He was just so proud. I can't prove any of that.
Yeah.
I can't prove a damn thing, but I do believe we're going to find out one day.
All right. That's some strong shit.
Here's the reason why I say that, and I think this is somewhat proof. Have you heard the recording where Trump is showing just people, just his friends at Mar-a-Lago?
Yes. And he said he could declassify him, but he didn't.
Right.
I've heard that.
Look, it's secret. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
You don't think he wanted to be cool with Putin?
It's possible, but like you said, until it gets proven, it's meaningless. I gotta move it on or whatever. I'll give you the last word. I do gotta move it on.
All right. Well, my last word is thank you for doing what you're doing. I love the way you keep your cool and you stick on the topic, and you're just awesome, man.
Oh, shit. Good talking to you, whatever. Come on back anytime. All right?
Oh, my friend.
Absolute. Guy in box, will you re-list if Trump gets it? What do you mean gets it? That sounds frightening. Will you re-enlist if Trump gets it? What is quote unquote? What do you mean by gets it? You know, if he gets the nomination and wins the presidency, or if he gets it like a mob boss says, you know, this my enemy, he's going to get it. What do you mean if Trump gets it? That sounds frightening. We'll go back to the box real quick, but innocent until proven guilty. Duh. Tico, yeah, I agree with you. Innocent until proven guilty. I used to say the same thing when Trump was traveling the country, allowing people to yell, lock her up. Hillary Clinton is innocent until proven guilty. So is President Trump. However, it does not come across as anything but biased and hypocritical to hear folks who support Trump suggesting it's wrong to paint him as a criminal without him having due process, because that's exactly what was being done to Hillary Clinton. I'm just simply saying fair is fair. Neither one of these folks yet, Hillary Clinton or President Trump, have had their day in court. Neither one of them has been found guilty of anything. So just want to point that out. Now, Hunter Biden is a different story. He's pled guilty to something. He's also not a politician. Looking in the comments, sell out Uncle Tom. We got one for today. King, can't even pronounce the rest of the name, but we haven't had any good Uncle Tom, Uncle Ruckus sellout folks in the comments recently. They've been doing the program for over a year. I think most people who actually do watch it and listen, see the name of the program, do understand it's a liberal that enjoys talking to MAGA. However, we do occasionally get viewers that do not use their ears, do not read, they just see a picture and they go from there. Finally, we got one. Welcome to the program. Going back to the box. Vivek Ramaswamy, that's interesting. I've said before, I'll go to the box real quick, but two issues about Vivek that are an instant turnoff to myself. The number one being he wants to raise the age of voting. He wants to take away voter rights for the 18 to 25 crowd. That right there for yours truly, I don't care if you're liberal or Republican or independent, that's a deal breaker. You're going to take away voting rights for 18 to 25-year-olds unless they join the military, become a first responder, or can pass a civics test. The moment Vivek Ramaswamy said that, that is a deal breaker. That's literally taking away rights for millions of Americans. Additionally, Trump has not been found guilty of anything yet. Hasn't had his day in court. But Vivek Ramaswamy has already promised that if he is elected, he would pardon Trump. Trump could be 100% innocent. However, the man should have his day in court. You should hear what Trump has to say and hear what the prosecutors have to say. Showing up, running for office and saying, if I win, I'm going to pardon Trump, without even hearing what the prosecutors have to say, how does that make you any less biased than the liberals or the never-Trumpers? You're not even going to listen to the case. You've already assumed Trump is 100% innocent. You're no different than somebody who assumes he's 100% guilty. Vivek, for those two reasons, in my opinion, is a no-go. Looking in the comments, we'll keep it moving with Beer Can Dan. I love the name. This should be an interesting talk. How will the 2020 election be judged? By the way, folks, tap the screen. Get your boy up to 20,000 likes. 800, nearly 900 of you folks in here. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 20,000 likes. Beer Can Dan. How is this election going to, what is the legacy?
How are you, my friend?
Doing good. Good to have you on.
In a few days.
Good to have you back.
Yeah, my thoughts on the election. They changed the rules in the middle of the game. We know they did because of COVID. More drop boxes, more mail-in voting, all of that stuff that favored the Democrats.
Let me interrupt you. I'll let you continue, but I want to interrupt you and ask you in regards to changing the rules. The state of Texas sued the state of Pennsylvania for those very same changes you're talking about that you said favored the Democrats. When the state of Texas sued Pennsylvania, The governor of Montana was on This Week with George Stephanopoulos, and he stated, we also made the exact same changes due to COVID that Pennsylvania made here in Montana. Trump won here, and they are not suing us. Any idea if those changes favored the Democrats? Why did Trump in the state of Texas, in defense of Trump, why did they not go after Montana and say that their changes were unconstitutional as well?
Well, they may have implemented it different.
They didn't. That's the point. They did not. They did the same thing.
Okay, did they only do it in Wyoming?
We're talking
Did they
Montana.
only put drop boxes in Wyoming?
We're talking Montana. We're not talking white. We're talking about Montana.
Okay. I'm talking about, did they only put drop boxes in large cities, or did they do it everywhere?
They stated they made the exact same changes as Pennsylvania.
They claim that. We don't know that for sure.
Because Trump didn't do any type of investigation there. That's why we don't know.
Right.
Right. Why didn't he?
But he did. But he did in Georgia. And he brought like 60 claims to court, and they threw them out because, what? Jurisdictional?
But
They didn't hear the
I
case.
get your point, but you're not answering the question. If the same type of alleged fraud happened in Montana, why did you only go to states where you lost? If you really want to get to the bottom of fraud, why are you ignoring the same fraud in the location that you won?
Well, you're just trying to prove enough to overturn the election, right?
No, you're supposed to be trying to secure the integrity of the election, not just focus on winning.
He only had 2 months.
He's had three.
From the time the election. Correct. So he's focusing in on the areas that would help him.
But then that means he is okay with fraud as long as it didn't hurt him.
No, we're not okay with fraud anywhere. We're not okay with fraud anywhere. But he has to get his point made. He has to bring the evidence that would change possibly change the outcome of the election.
Wouldn't it be
He
easier?
only had 2 months to do it.
Wouldn't it be easier
He was
if
up against the clock.
you wanted to make? Well, let's take in regards to your comment. He's up against the clock. Why hasn't he mentioned Montana at all in the last 3 years?
I don't know. I don't know any. This is the first I've heard about.
Let me give you another one. You can answer it any way you want. While the election was getting close to November, Trump and his administration was also alleging that in North Carolina there was a lot of election fraud taking place because Biden was in the lead. At the end, Trump ultimately won the state of North Carolina. Once again, once he won, we have not heard any more claims of fraud. Why is that?
Well, because he's trying to prove that he won the election. He's not going to go to somewhere he won.
So he's
He's
not
going to go where he,
right. So, but if
he's just trying to prove the fact right there that he won the election. He's
But-
not trying to prove there was widespread fraud throughout the entire country. He's just got to prove it in 2-3 states.
But that's the point. If you're trying to prove you
That's where
won,
the
hold on.
words.
If you're trying to prove you won the election and you've been claiming that voter fraud took place in one of the states you won, how do you know you even won that state?
We're getting way off of my.
No, we're not. This is the election.
I understand you're you're running a program here, but let me just make my point. All right.
Sure, go ahead.
In Georgia, right, they changed the election laws, and they did not go through the state legislature to do it. They didn't do it in Pennsylvania
Or
either.
Montana.
They changed. Well, I don't know about Montana. Like I said, did they change it through their state legislature like they should have, or did they do it by Supreme Court?
The governor of Montana stated we did the same thing in Pennsylvania, did the same thing that Pennsylvania did. The governor of that state said that.
Yeah, but how did they implement it?
The governor said they did
the
this.
legislature and change the laws and do it the right way, or did they do it? From the bench?
That's the point. That's the point I'm trying to make. Is that because Trump was only interested in fraud where he lost, we don't know. Because he didn't check. He didn't care.
Right.
Then that
I
means,
understand what you're. The
yeah.
point you're making, but the point I'm making is that those type of election laws needed to be changed at the state level in the state legislature, and they didn't do that. They allowed the state Supreme Court to change the law to allow them to put those drop boxes there.
Okay.
Because they didn't have time. There was COVID, all of that. That's a form.
But
of peace.
okay, so let's go with what you're saying. If Pennsylvania or Georgia made changes that they didn't go through the proper procedure, then that means they held the election incorrectly. Why is Trump saying he won a state that didn't even held the election properly?
Well, because he's seen all those people going in front of the state legislature after the election and saying, hey, my vote was stolen and this is why. And they were hearing complaint after complaint after complaint days after the election. I watched it on TV.
And he counted.
Like,
He counted
50 or
the.
60 people in Georgia came up to their state legislator and testified under oath that their vote was stolen.
How many?
I went up to vote, and they told me, "Sorry, sir, you've already voted. You voted in absentee."
How many people? How many people did you say testified again?
I want to say there was at least 40 or 50 people.
How many? If you had to guesstimate, how many voters do you believe are in the state of Georgia? Did I lose you? Okay, I must have lost my last caller. All right. The point I'm trying to make is there's no guarantee that something did not happen in the last election. But the point we're making is there's a difference between alleging fraud, alleging a state did not follow the proper procedures, and saying you won that state. Yeah, Golden Lion. Thank you for the hat and mustache. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 30,000 likes. MAGA friendly program. We do not block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. You don't have to agree with the damn host. We're not going to censor or limit your time in any way, fashion, or form. I do believe in First Amendment free speech rights. Gonna challenge you. Appreciate that crane there, or beer can. So I don't know what happened, beer can, but I do appreciate you coming up. This is the same guy who thought the Emmys were rigged. Come on, people. He did say that. Trump did say the Emmys were rigged. If MAGA had a voice, it would sound like Beer Can Dan. Well, Beer Can is a passionate voter. He believes that the election didn't go right. Trump made up the big lie during the debate with Hillary. He said it, y'all. If I lose, it's rigged. He did say something like that. And there's something else out there that we have to talk about. October 31st, 2020, 5 days before the election. Steve Bannon, obviously a very close associate of President Trump. Steve Bannon is on audio tape saying, if Trump is losing late in the day on election day, he's just going to say it's stolen. How did Steve Bannon know that 5 days ahead of time? Shout out to Madam Cleo. How did he know that? Why isn't that being mentioned in the realm of coincidences? That Steve Bannon stated on October 31st, 2020, if Trump is losing in the evening of November 5th, he's just going to say it was stolen. He said that. How did he know that? Looking in the comments. Do you know people can say whatever they want? It's hearsay unless it's inside the courtroom. Well, not always. You ever heard of the phrase yelling fire at a crowded theater? You're not inside of a courtroom. You can say whatever you want to say, but you cannot do it without potential consequences. You cannot just yell anything you want out without any consequences. So that's what we're suggesting. No, you can say whatever. I'm a big proponent of free speech. But there are consequences to what you say, particularly if it's not true and you know it's not true when you're saying it. Going back to the box, by the way, if you enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle without any concern of being blocked, banned, or censored by the host, you are in the right place. 990 of you. Feel free to follow the program. We do this Monday through Friday. We're talking about the legacy of the 2020 election. How will it go down in history? Will the legacy suggest that Trump was cheated and the liberals did every damn thing they could to hide it? Appreciate those sunglasses, thank you. Or will the legacy suggest that Trump, in an egotistical moment, decided he was never going to admit to losing and just made up a huge lie? How will it go down? Will history judge the 2020 election solely by crowd size and say that's enough to suggest that Biden lied about it? How will it be judged throughout history? Will President Trump ever come forth and present tangible proof that everyone, not just Trump supporters, believe is clear evidence that he should have been the rightful winner of the 2020 election? How will this be judged? Talking about the 2020 election legacy. Going back to the box, real quick in the comments, his legacy is to take the Republican Party down with him. He has no evidence. You believe that President Trump is attempting to destroy the Republican Party? You need to present evidence on that. You have to elaborate on that. Going to the box. Wow, that's a hell of a claim, by the way. All right, let's keep it moving. Too old for this shit. I like the name. Welcome back to the program. Appreciate you folks tapping the screen. We're over 1,000. Get your boy up to 40,000 likes. We got over 1,000 folks in here. Too old for this shit. Good afternoon. I don't know if my guest is here or not. We'll give it a couple seconds. I'll read a comment or two. Oh, I like that. Gen X, thank you. Appreciate that fruit hat. Why are we seeing green screen in Hollywood productions when it comes to transparency of our government? I don't quite understand that question. Trump is the best, says Elvis. Fair enough. Hate speech, libel, slander, hate of or speech that incites riots is not free speech. That is true. That is true, but there's always plausible deniability. Hell of a lot of folks do not believe what happened on January 6th was incited by Trump. There's generally plausible deniability unless the person says, let's go riot. If they don't say those words, people can always come up with the notion that the crowd was already hyped and they did it on their own. Or folks will bring up Ray Epps, folks suggesting that Ray Epps or Antifa somehow sparked off the moment. Yours truly, as a liberal, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I know a lot of folks believe that without Ray Epps, it would not have happened. I'll go to the box, but just from my own personal opinion, if you're flown all the way to D.C. at the urging of Trump, Bannon, Giuliani, Powell, and the rest of them to defend Trump and make sure the election's not taken from him, and then Trump, after giving you a powerful speech, a passionate speech, says, let's march to the Capitol building. Why would you listen to Ray Epps, a guy you don't know from Adam, and totally disregard Trump saying go peacefully? The guy is the only reason you're out here is this guy who told you to go peacefully. And somehow during the course of a 1 to 2 mile walk, some dude you've never met can convince you to do totally the opposite of what the guy you're actually here told you to do. That just doesn't make any sense that Ray Epps could convince people to go against President Trump when he is the sole reason they're in D.C. That makes no sense at all. Looking in the comments, the night before he was encouraging people to take the Capitol in the crowd, called them out as a Fed. Mark, once again, you're here for Trump. You are here to defend Trump's legacy. How is Ray Epps, you don't know this guy, convincing you to go against the guy you're here to defend? Remember, it is the liberals who supposedly votes based on emotion, who votes for free shit. It is the liberals that are supposedly sheep. If you're suggesting that that crowd did what Ray Epps told them to do, and they don't know who Ray Epps is, how is that not behaving like a crowd full of sheep? If one man that you've never met can convince you in mass to commit what amounts to a few hundred felonies, how is that not sheep? You're essentially saying that MAGA behaved as sheep on that day, at the behest of a guy they didn't even know who he was. That makes no sense. It just doesn't. Looking in the comments, or better yet, the box. Lewis Clyde, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Pelosi orchestrated the whole thing. Once again, I don't see how Nancy Pelosi could get MAGA to do anything. They don't like Nancy Pelosi. For some reason, my guests are not coming through. We'll see. Magamites. What? Magamites are sheep. What is a magamite? Wow, that's a new term. Magamites are sheep. You guys make up some new shit. Your hat is on fire. You're talking about this beautiful Make America Great Again hat. It's on fire? It doesn't feel very warm to me. I don't know. Is it going to catch my hair on fire? All right. The box is broken. Is that what it is? Yeah, something does seem to be wrong. Let me see one more time. It does seem like the box is broken. We'll try. Let me see. I'll bring up another guest. If so, maybe it's my connection. I don't know. I have two husbands. Can Trump approve of this? What do you mean? Bigger, can you hear me? Bigger. It's showing that I have a guest on here, but I don't hear him. Yeah, I do think I'm having some box trouble. Turn your volume up. Is that what we're dealing with? I don't hear. Oh, you know what I'm hearing? Okay. All right, can you hear me now? Bigger.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go.
I hear you just fine.
Yeah,
Can you hear me at all?
what ended up happening is my headphones are in this vehicle somewhere and the Bluetooth kicked in. So your voice was going through that.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time.
Okay. But now I got an echo. Are you on Bluetooth or something?
I'm actually in my vehicle.
Yeah, I'm hearing my.
Turn my car volume down.
Okay, I'm gonna have to drop you and have you come back on because there's echoing. We're not gonna be able to talk this way. All right.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, we'll give it a second. Jail, and more jail for Trump and the rest. But what about the notion that if President Trump is incarcerated, we could have a civil war? Is that possible at all? I want you guys to really think about that because there is a slight chance of Trump being incarcerated. I don't think it'll happen, but it's not a 0% chance of him being incarcerated. There's a lot of folks, if you believe the folks on the right, particularly MAGA, you believe everybody's out to get him. So if everybody's out to get him, you would have to assume some of them want to put him behind bars. So there's not a 0% chance of Trump being incarcerated. It's probably well under 50%. But at the end of the day, do you think there could be civil unrest if one man is placed behind bars? Just want to ask you that. We'll keep it moving. Further great. I don't know what I'm on my. Let me see if this guest works out better. Wonder what kind of charges other 47 states are going to put him. Further great. Good afternoon.
Hey, how you doing, AJ? I'm sorry, man. I was a little back in the day. How you doing?
I'm doing good. You got a lot of background noise.
Yeah, I'm on the scene. Am I better now?
Yeah, much better.
How you doing, AJ?
We're talking about the legacy of the 2020 election. How do you think it'll go down in history? Will it go down in history that Trump was right and it was stolen by Biden and the liberals? Or will it go down in history that he made up a big-ass lie just to stay in office?
Well, it's circumstantial, I guess, but there's a lot of the evidence that it's going to be the latter. I really haven't seen any proof that it's going to be the former. Like I said, supposedly today, whatever he canceled is going to clear up all of this. Or why wait until you get all these indictments to drop that kind of information?
It's been 3 years. It's been 3 years. Why do you think that he hasn't, because he's been saying the election was stolen the entire time. Why do you think he hasn't presented more proof over the span of 3 years almost?
Well, I think that's his last card to play. I think he's been trying to BS us and say the right things, but now he has to play his trump card, no pun intended.
Do you think he will? Do you think he successfully will play a trump card to show solid evidence that the election was stolen?
Well, nothing's absolute, but I would say 90% that no, he doesn't have anything. You ain't had it in 3 years. Well, let me say it like this. People on the other side say, oh, well, why did it take so many years for them to investigate and bring up charges? So in that logic, maybe it took him 3 years to figure it out.
Well, the answer for why it took so long to bring charges against President Trump is simple. They were trying not to do it. You're not going to rush to judgment and charge a former president. Certainly like with the documents case. They claim they were trying to get those documents back for over a year. You're not going to rush and put your entire career on the line and quickly charge a former president. And keep in mind, if they had charged Trump much sooner, the same folks claiming they waited 3 years to charge him would be saying they were so eager to get this guy, they didn't give him a chance to work with him. And they charged him in 6 months or something. They would be saying it happened too quick.
Of course, like I said, if I go with their logic, I'm kind of right there with you. If I use their logic just to be fair, then I guess it took him 3 years to gather the evidence that he needed. But he says he's going to bring it out at trial. For his ass sake, I hope he does.
But you can't. But wait a minute. Even though he's promising to produce evidence at trial is not about that. That would be thrown out. That's irrelevant to what he's being charged with.
I'm trying to play UHL. I'm just trying to give the benefit of the doubt. But
Yeah.
right there lying with you, I'm just throwing a few breadcrumbs out there for the other side. Like I said, nothing's absolute, but the evidence looks pretty damning. I mean, what I mean?
I gotta agree. Yeah, because if you that would be like him going to court on the documents case, and while he's in court, he's bringing up Mike Pence and the fact that, Biden had documents. If I go to jail, if I'm arrested for murder, I don't get to start talking about O.J. Simpson in my court case. Nobody cares about that. You're not here for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, for a guy that's been in court a lot through the years, you would think he'd be more savvy than that. But
Well,
he's not.
it works in the court of public opinion is why he's doing it.
That's about it. But none of those people, unless they're on a jury, is going to be the judge or the people that acquit him. So, I mean, they can do you said Civil War and all that. I'm not worried about that. If our army is what they say they are, those people be smart not to probably even think about that.
But what about the possibility that the army is loaded with MAGA?
Like I said, even that being said, if I believe the army and who they are, they don't want to be traitors to their country. Why put in all that work and time to get your rank and benefits to throw it away for one guy? Even they might say fight their MAGA people with a MAGA hat, but they're going to be in them green fatigue, so it's not going to matter.
Let me ask you this before we move it on. Stevie D, friend of the program, in the comments says, what if Trump burned the documents like Hillary smashing evidence? The government is corrupt for one side. Do you see where the government seems to favor liberals and are attempting to hold Republicans accountable?
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that side and I listen to it, but he was in office before he said locked her up. After he got in office, he was in there. He didn't think it was a problem. I mean, he got elected on it. Why not follow through on it? He fought for that wall. I mean, he talked about that wall, and he talks about how all these people, preventing him from getting it done. So who prevented you from prosecuting Hillary?
And that's a good point, is that if you're suggesting that the government is corrupt in favor of the liberals, Trump was in charge of the government for 4 straight years. Why did he not go after Hillary Clinton? It's an excellent point. I do got to move it on further, Great. I don't disagree with anything you said there, for sure. Appreciate you coming on.
As always, man. I appreciate your show, man. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Absolutely a pleasure. Looking in the comments, he never had evidence. That's why. I don't buy into the notion that if Trump in his administration had solid evidence that Hillary Clinton was guilty, they would have just let her off. I do buy into that statement that they didn't charge Hillary Clinton with a crime because they didn't believe they had enough to prove her guilty. I do believe that. I don't see Trump as just all of a sudden winning the 2016 election and deciding to just be nice to Hillary Clinton. Yeah, I got her by the short and curlies, but I'm just going to let her go. I'm only going to go around the country yelling lock her up, but I'm not going to do anything to her. I don't buy that. I think if he had enough on Hillary Clinton, he would have gave the Justice Department the go ahead. I don't believe he just let her off. Looking in the comments, kind of like the lack of voter fraud evidence. Mike, that's what folks are saying. All right, going back to the box, tap the screen, get your boy up to 50,000 likes, almost 900 of you still rolling with your boy. You could be anywhere you want to be on this app. Always a pleasure, always an honor having you here with me. That damn snow, what does that say? I can't pronounce it. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So we're talking about the legacy of the 2020 election. What say you?
Well, I'm going to put it like this. I believe that there's been a lot of cover-ups on both sides. But with that being said, let's look back in history. Every president that's tried to make a change that was against the White House agenda, what's happened to him?
I don't get what you're saying.
Abraham Lincoln,
Okay.
John F. Kennedy.
You're naming presidents that lost their lives.
Right.
So
Let's look at what I'm saying, okay? So now here is Trump, and everybody has caught on to the fact that the government has so many cover-ups that usually ends with unaliving somebody.
who would be the victim? Who would be the person that would receive that? You saying Trump?
There's a lot of people it does. That somebody that comes in office that's trying to make a change, something usually happens to them.
Well,
And now Trump,
why didn't that happen to Obama? He came in office trying to make some pretty big changes.
honestly, I believe because a lot of his policies was still in the narrative of the White House, the typical White House. See what I'm saying?
So what changes are President Trump trying to make that are not in the typical narrative?
Number one, for how long? Okay, I'm 39, and I've heard all my life about the immigration issues.
Okay.
You know, and that there's so many people that's living off the government and not wanting to better themselves and all that kind of stuff.
All
Even
right.
if they get help, they're still classified in those that's living off the government. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, but if you're talking about people living off the government, wouldn't Roosevelt or Lyndon Johnson, who claimed he was going to have N-words voting for him for the next 50, why didn't they get taken out? You talking about helping people live off the government, they didn't get taken out.
No, but look what they also did, though. They was trying to bring a change to help families.
That's a major change. Why didn't it get taken out?
Probably because they was wanting the government to be the daddy, you know, so to take care of everybody.
So I'm still confused. What has Trump did that is so controversial that would put him on the opposite side? Now, he talked about draining the swamp and he had a bunch of controversial statements, but in regards to what he actually did, what has he really did that puts him above the fray?
Well, he's heightened the immigration deals, you know, and there's kids without families. Well, let's look at that. How many kids did
Barack Obama.
Kamala Harris cause to be without their parents?
Right. And she hasn't been unalive, so why do we assume Trump is going to face anything like that?
Right, and the only reason that Biden is even in office, if you look at it, as his running mate. And
You believe the only reason why Biden won the presidency is because he had Kamala Harris as VP?
yes, I do.
But what leads you to believe that?
Because she's a woman.
Then why didn't John McCain win? He had Sarah Palin.
But come on now. We all know. Like, I live in Louisiana. Okay, and 90% of the communities here, whenever Biden was announced Kamala Harris as his running mate, and they found out that she was a sorority and all this kind of stuff, the sorority people backed them up.
Okay. You really believe Kamala Harris, Biden, because I'm a liberal and I know what Kamala Harris's reputation is among liberals. Hell, even among black people is not that strong. Who voted more for Biden because he picked Kamala Harris? I've never heard that before.
I bet if you looked into it, it would be there.
I would like to know where I'm looking.
Look, when Biden, Obama ran, I'll be honest, I voted for him.
Voted for who?
Obama.
It's amazing. I'll let you continue, but I will say this. I am absolutely amazed at how many pro-Trump supporters I actually talk to all the time that really despise Biden, but then say they voted for Obama. I don't get it. What Obama stood for and what Trump stands for and what Obama stands for, like night and day. Yet I get MAGA all the time that tell me they voted for Obama. I'm really surprised, but give me your reason.
The reason I voted for Obama, it was the previous administration.
Bush.
I wanted a change, and I felt that Obama would bring in a change. Not only because, he was a black president, okay? And I felt that he would feel more of the answers and the questions and, the problems than anybody else.
Okay.
That was running.
How did you feel as a person that voted for Obama, as you're stating? How did you feel when Trump spent like 3 years saying that your candidate of choice was born in Kenya?
I'm sorry, do what now? I couldn't hear you.
As a supporter of Obama, as you're stating, how did you feel when Trump spent like 3 years stating that your candidate of choice was born in Kenya?
There was a warning what?
That he was born in Kenya.
Well, his own grandmother said it.
Well, Trump got family members that are saying negative things about him too. Do you believe them?
Why wouldn't Obama give a birth certificate up?
He did give a birth certificate. I got it on a cup. I actually have it at home on a mug.
What, is that the original, like the real birth certificate, or is that one that was a cover-up?
What makes you think he gave a birth certificate that was a cover-up?
Because for so long it was a problem. He had people in his own family saying that he was born in Kenya, or, the Kenya region.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making, is that you got members in the Trump family that are saying he's a grifter. You don't believe them, but you believe Obama's family members? Why are you giving one a difference?
No, let's clear that. If he was supposed to go to war and he didn't go to war or join the army or whatever, then yes, he was wrong. That is drifting.
But you still vote for him.
I voted for the policies because there should be a change in America. Congress members back in the 90s was making $75,000. The highest ranking ones. Now they're making $175,000.
All right. So,
but then they're millionaires.
And you expect Trump to change that?
I don't think that he would change that, but I think that he would bring light into how they're making the money.
Okay.
But as we're hearing now on the news, Biden and his son had dealings with China and all this kind of stuff whenever he was vice president.
and that they were paid. The Biden family was paid. Whatever.
How do you feel about the claim that Jared Kushner had dealings with the Saudis and he was paid as well?
What kind of dealings was there?
Well, he had he all of a sudden received this huge investment deal that he's not qualified for that was worth $2 billion.
Was there anything in the government done whenever Trump was in office to make that a little questionable?
The same way there's nothing done when Biden is in office.
Biden was a sitting U.S. president, a vice president.
Trump was a sitting president. What's the point?
But it wasn't going to the Trump family organization or whatever. It was going to Jared, right?
That's part of he's married to Trump's daughter. That is the Trump's family.
I don't know all that.
Right, because nobody made a fuss over it like they're doing over the Biden case.
But I feel like there should be a lot of investigations in all members of the Senate and the Congress.
Okay. So let me go full circle back to the actual topic though. How do you think the 2020 election will ultimately be judged? What do you think the legacy of that election will be?
A screw up.
On whose part?
On both.
What did the Democrats do to screw up the 2020 election?
I feel there was a bunch of graves being dug up and sending the ballots in.
But how do you know the graves you're talking about was done by the Democrats?
I don't know if they were done by the Democrats or who, but I feel like there should be a true investigation.
But it goes back to my original point. The 2020 election was held under the Trump administration. Trump was president when that election took place. If there are graves that were not properly investigated, how are you blaming this on the Democrats? They weren't in power. What did the Democrats do to screw up the 2020 election?
Well, what committees was doing the investigations?
What do you mean, what committees?
Well, they got different committees in the White House or whatever. So who was actually overdoing the investigations on that?
Well, Attorney General Barr is where the buck stops at. If the committees are not doing the right thing, that's when the feds step in to clear things up. All of this is being ran by President Trump.
And isn't Barr going against Trump now?
He was going against him then. When Trump was making allegations that the election was stolen, Attorney General Barr's job was to trace down those accusations and see if there was any validity. Attorney General Barr is stating that he is willing to testify under oath that he told Trump this stuff is bullshit.
That's, Barr was over, the man in command on that. Why didn't he do the investigations?
Why didn't Barr do the investigations?
So Trump's saying that Georgia and everybody else hid ballots and all this kind of stuff. Why wasn't there a true investigation where they had parties of both sides that was to over it, that they pulled out every record and said, here you go, this kind of stuff?
Barr is stating that they went to Georgia, looked into Ruby Freeman and things like that, and these claims are unfounded. The governor of Georgia, who also is a Republican, is saying they recounted the votes 3 different times. At what point do they suggest that they've provided enough evidence? How many more ways are you going to keep asking them to do this?
Well, I know, here I've heard that there was ballots lost in the mail truck, and they found them in the trash and all this kind of stuff. But then I've also heard that, I didn't file, didn't run my vote, whatever. I didn't mail them vote in when I went up there to go vote. Well, why are they not investigating all that?
they recounted the votes 3 different times. You want them to chase down, hold on, hang on. What you're telling me is that the folks who actually had the rightful power to investigate the election, had the subpoena power to call people in and testify under oath. We're talking about the governor and the attorney general. You're skipping over all their testimony for a few citizens that say, I saw this or I saw that.
No, I'm saying if they're saying that they didn't send in a mail-in ballot and they couldn't vote, then why is there not an investigation on that?
You would have to ask Trump's attorney general, who Trump is in charge of, why didn't you guys properly investigate the election you're saying was stolen from you? The Democrats weren't in charge of this stuff.
That's my question.
So you stated that the legacy of the 2020 election will go down as if both sides did something wrong. Trump is in charge of all the things you're complaining about. Where does the liberals fit into this?
Because they're both involved.
How are the liberals involved?
Well, the Democrats and the Republicans,
How? Give me where the Democrats are involved.
because it was both parties.
No. The Democrats were not in charge of the 2020 election. What were the Democrats?
They've not been in charge, but they were involved along with getting votes, is what I'm saying.
So you're talking about low-level citizens compared to the attorney general or the governor of Georgia?
Yeah, when is the citizens going to have the right, to clarify themselves? I'm just wondering how many citizens in the United States that actually did vote or couldn't vote because there was mail-in ballots.
That's a good question. It's going to go down to what I just stated. If the elite members of the Republican Party are stepping forward and saying that the things you're complaining about are invalid complaints, what do you think the legacy is going to say? Because the stuff you're talking about, the upper members of the Republican Party, up to and including the vice president, is saying that stuff is invalid. All Republicans, by the way. All Republicans.
They're going over the documents stating, I guess, I don't know. All I know is the government has been corrupt as long as I've been alive. Not just one party, all of them has. And there has been cover-ups and people getting things that shouldn't have been done.
So I got to move it on, but I want to ask you this before I let you go. Why do you think the Republicans, who would have stood the most to gain if they could show the election was stolen, by either getting a recount, a revote, a redo, or even winning, why would Mike Pence and Attorney General Barr, who were actually in power, not tell the truth and suggest that, no, we actually did lose? Why would they lie that when it's not in their own best interest?
Maybe they didn't like Trump. I don't know.
You never think to really wonder, like, why would they do this? Do they hate Trump so much they're willing to give up their own jobs? I mean, does it make sense to you that the VP, who clearly wants to be president, would actually do something that is not in his own best interest just to spite Trump? Do you really believe that?
I thought Pence wasn't going to be the vice president the next term if he won.
You got really loud. Can you hear me?
I said I thought that Pence wasn't going to be the vice president if Trump won again.
There was no way to know that. I mean, President Trump lost in November. There was no claim that if he didn't get... By the way, when Trump ran for the 2020 election, wasn't the bumper sticker saying Trump and Pence? There was no reason to think that if you voted for Trump in 2020, he was going to get rid of Pence. It's on all of the stationery. He was going to keep Pence.
I thought Pence announced that he wasn't going to run as running mate.
Did you vote in the 2020 election?
I did.
When you voted in the 2020 election, there was a spot on there to check that had Pence's name on there. You didn't see his name on the ballot?
Man, that's so long ago. I don't remember. Hell, I remember barely what I did last night. But all of them is there's corruption on the government, period. You know,
Okay.
instead of battling over who's going to be president or all this crap, they need to quit sending money across seas. They need to bring it back home, and they need to help the American people.
All right. All right, I got to move it on, man. It's been an interesting talk. Come on back anytime, man. It's been a long time. As he said, it's been a long time. He should have left me a dope beat to step to. It's been a long time, so he don't know whose name was on the ballot in 2020. Wow, I didn't expect that. All right, you guys in the comments, what it says, this your guess is just dumb. Be nice to the guests. Another one bites the dust. Wow, you guys are mean. Biden is the president of the Corporation of America. Then who was the former president of the Corporation of America? We've always had a president in this country. If Biden is currently the president of the Corporation of America, when Biden got elected in 2020, who was the former president of the Corporation of America? I'd be curious to know that. Why did he have his soldiers without, what is that? I didn't know where that went. I wanted to see that question. Why did he have his soldiers without uniform or rank in his procession? What does that mean? You're telling me Trump or Biden had soldiers without you? I don't know what that means. I really like how you do your homework, says Willie Butler. I appreciate that. I learned a lot from you folks. One of the things we always say here, we never talk down to guests. That's why we support free speech. York, appreciate that crown. Thank you. Thank you very much. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 70,900. Almost nearly 1,000 of you folks still in here. Enjoy civilized dialogue, both sides of the aisle. Follow the program. We're here Monday through Friday. We do not block, ban, or censor your comments. Understand that. You don't have to agree with the host. Nobody gives a damn. We want to certainly let you get your point across whether you agree with the host or not. You don't have to worry about the host blocking, banning, or censoring you because you have a difference of opinion. Program is MAGA friendly, always is, always will be. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome as well. Why do you think America is a corporation? Carl Williams, that's the question I would ask. I don't believe America is a corporation. However, we are a capitalist nation, and a hell of a lot of the things we do imitate how a corporation is ran, up to and including things like incarceration for profit. Hell of a lot of municipalities all across the country give out tickets for profit. So we do run the country in a manner that shows we care more about the bottom line than anything else. Even if it means people dying, losing their lives, losing their freedom, we do focus on the bottom line more than anything else in this country. So there is some similarities to how a corporation is ran. I can understand why somebody might say that. Great question. I agree it is a corp, says No Lie or No Live Hill. I hope not, but what did folks say when Trump got elected? He's a businessman. We need that type of person to run the country. Who are businessmen known to be, or what is a businessman known to do? They run corporations. That's what a businessman does. So possible, very possible. The Supreme Court has already said that the U.S. is not necessarily capitalist. We have socialist tenets in this country. For instance, when you dial 911, they don't itemize the costs. You dial 911 and the cost to send out police, fire is taken out of taxes. That's a socialist tenet. Otherwise, if it was done on a capitalism basis, people without money would not have access to 911. When you come out 911 services, you'd either have to pay a monthly fee or you would have to pay a la carte when they come out. You called us because somebody was at your back door trying to break in your house. In the process of the response, we sent out 6 officers, 2 of them fired 3 rounds. We charge, $50 a round. One of them used handcuffs. We charge a certain amount of money to do a bio clean of the hand. I mean, they would charge you based on all of that shit. You dialed 911 for a fire. The fire was on the 2nd floor. We charged a certain amount of money. We were out there for 3 hours. We're going to bill you. I mean, that's how you would be billed. Billed for 3 hours. We don't do capitalism in regards to how the civil services are ran yet, but we do capitalist. We do perform in a capitalist manner on a lot of services that I believe are not in our best interest. Moving on. Trump don't pay his bills though. Wow. Shout out to Rudolph Giuliani. Poor guy, who's in a lot of hot water. Is going to need all the money that Trump owes him that he may never get. Tap the screen, get your boy up to 75,000 likes. I do appreciate that, J&J Jess. Trump is going to jail for a long time. Trump is a criminal, and he rest of them. Well, Trump is like almost 80 years old. What is he, 77 years old? He don't have a long time left. So Trump is not going to jail for a long time. He probably won't be around for more than 10 years or so. I mean, he don't have a long time left on earth. Going back to the box. Trump is going to jail for a long time. Wow. Tony Hawkins. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Talking about the legacy of the 2020 election.
What's up, buddy?
Not much at all. What do you think the legacy of the 2020 election will be?
Well, I don't know. I think when our kids and grandkids look back at history, I mean, hopefully it all gets figured out soon. Whether it was stolen or not, I don't have the proof of it. I don't know. But I mean, it's good. The history will show that something happened, whether it was stolen or not. I mean, it's just going to go in the history books as that.
Let me ask it to you this way, because obviously Trump is not the first president to say an election was stolen. Let's take the 2016 election where Hillary Clinton is saying that Trump stole it from her. How do you think the legacy of the 2016 election is going to go down in history with Hillary Clinton not providing any proof?
Well, I mean, I think if it comes down to it, and Trump does have the evidence that this was stolen, then they can further investigate and kind of go back and see if it was stolen, or if there was any cheating parties, possibly. I'm not really sure.
At this stage, 3 years after the ballots have been cast, do you think Trump is really going to come forward with some evidence at this point that we haven't seen already?
We've talked a few times. I planned on voting for Trump this time, but I'm at this stage where I definitely never vote for Biden. I'd rather not vote at all. But I'm second guessing voting for Trump just because of the fact that, there is documentation, Executive Order 13818. Like, Trump is still literally the commander-in-chief. There's plenty of information out there to find this.
Whoa. You're saying right now in 2023, Trump is still president?
Yeah, no, commander-in-chief, because your last caller said the corporation. Joe Biden is the president of the corporation. Now, Donald Trump is the 19th president of the United States.
Joe Biden just got in power. Who was the previous president of the corporation?
I'm assuming it would be Trump. I don't know how that worked because, like I said, I'm not as educated. Yeah, I'm still educating myself.
How do you How do you know for certain who was the current president and you don't know who the last one is? How does that work?
Because I just became awake within the last year-ish, so I'm still learning.
Who told you? Who told you Biden is the current president of the corporation?
There's documents everywhere. I think it's docs.info.
And in none of those,
Derek Johnson's got the whole list of documents.
Okay. So there are documents everywhere that show Biden is the current president of the corporation, and in none of those documents tell you who the last guy was.
I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'm new to this, so.
Who did he run against? Who did he run against for the job?
I wish.
I hate to see people banned, and I always tell my guests to try to file an appeal, but my last guest is not going to win an appeal. I hate to see him get banned. But yeah, there's no way in hell my last guess with what he was saying. If they want to talk about misinformation or all of that shit, I don't block anybody. I believe in your First Amendment free speech rights to state what you believe, but there's no way he would win an appeal with that. So it is what it is. But wow. The first president of the corporation. He's not the first I've heard that from, but what's baffling is to suggest that Biden is the president of the corporation, and you don't know who the last guy is. That makes no sense at all. You don't know who he just beat. He's only been president for a few years. You can't come up with the guy who preceded him. That's where it really looks weird. Now, he pointed out there are heaps of documents to show Biden is not the commander-in-chief, but none of the documents talk about who did he just defeat. How did he get the job? None of that comes up, huh? That's the whole purpose of free speech and having a back and forth, is to ask people questions that you really realize they never even thought of that. I know that Biden is the president of some corrupt corporation. I never even thought to check into who was before him. Never thought about it. Just want you guys to think about that. Next time you hear someone suggest that Biden is not the president or he's the president or something else, who preceded him? Who was the guy before him? I mean, there should be a long list of who has been leading the corporation. Another question? Trump is supposedly the 19th president of the United States. Who was 18? Who was the 18th president of the United States? America's been a country since 1776. We've only had 19 presidents. That's a hell of a lot of years that each one must have been serving. Trump only served 4 years. How long was the 18th president in power? How long was the 17th president in power? Some of these guys must have served 30, 40 continuous years. 200 years, and we only have 19 presidents. If you divide 200 by 20, that's an average of 10 years per president. We're only on 19. So how long have these people been serving in office? When you start asking these very simple questions, this stuff falls apart like a house of cards. I don't even know what to do with that. But my last caller is always welcome back on the program. I would love to hear from him again. I would have asked all these questions we're talking about now because I believe these are very simple questions that you should be able to flip off and answer real quick to. If Trump is 19, who was 18? How long was 18 in power? If Biden is the president of a corporation, who served before him? You should actually have answers to this stuff right off the bat. When there's hesitation, first thing I'm going to do is question the source. Why would somebody give you some information like this without telling you who he just defeated? Didn't make a lot of sense. Anyhow, look it in the comments. Trump will do the same to MAGA as he did to Giuliani. Y'all still voting for him. Wow, I see that in the comments, and he definitely did not. How long before Giuliani started speaking ill of President Trump? Is it benefiting Giuliani in any way as he continues to ride on the Trump train? Has he benefited at all? So Giuliani is a very smart man, America's mayor, been a lawyer for years until they disbarred him. How long before he starts weighing his options and realizing I'm not benefiting from this at all? Particularly if it appears that Trump will not be back in power anytime soon. At what point does Giuliani decide that I need to, call my losses and do something? Giuliani, out of everybody that's been on Team Trump, Giuliani is probably the biggest loser of them all. Really, probably the biggest loser of them all. Because he's went through everything from Dominion to losing his license. The Ruby Freemans are suing him. Hell, even the stuff he said about January 6th and Antifa could probably get him into a lawsuit. Remember, neither MAGA or even Trump himself are defending Giuliani. So anything that is bestowed upon Giuliani is likely to be met with success. He doesn't have the same shield around him as Trump. That guy has lost a lot. I mean, just completely destroyed his legacy from start to finish. He could have literally, as America's mayor, rode off into the sunset as one of the best mayors in New York history. Still may have that title, but they don't want to see him in New York anymore. So Rudolph Giuliani by far is the biggest loser on the Trump campaign, unless Trump gets reelected and starts to restore the guy. But if as right now, if Trump doesn't get back in power, Rudolph Giuliani probably has lost more than anybody else. And the legacy of Rudolph Giuliani is not going to have the same type of accommodation, so to speak, as Trump. Even if Trump's legacy looks bad, there will always be MAGA and folks to defend Trump. Giuliani doesn't have that. Nobody gives a damn about Giuliani. If the legacy of Giuliani starts to look shaky, MAGA's not going to rush to the rescue of Giuliani. He's just going to be hurting, period. I mean, so I don't know how much money he's lost. That could have been generational wealth. I mean, just his entire legacy, he just threw it away, riding with Trump. In fact, CNN, I know my beloved MAGA have no love for CNN, but they just did a special on him yesterday titled, "What Happened to Giuliani, America's Mayor?" I mean, it's essentially a fall from grace. He really destroyed himself. Tell me this who is really mayor of Louisiana. I don't quite get that. The cults will not help anyone but their gods. Wow, that sounds like something straight out of mythology class. Racketeer influence criminal organization RICO. You know, the crazy thing is, Giuliani, part of his legacy before he became mayor, was putting RICO charges on mob bosses. He was a very successful prosecutor, Rudolph Giuliani was. Probably never thought he'd be on the wrong end of a RICO. Wow, yikes. And Giuliani, like I said, he doesn't have the money to be dealing with all these cases flying back and forth and shit like that. They're burying him. Trump may ultimately survive. Giuliani is not. He is not going to go out the same way. He's really paying a hell of a price. Karma is a doozy, yeah. There's a lot of karma to Giuliani. 9/11, he was admired. Yeah, he was America's mayor. He could have rode off into the sunset, getting involved with Trump, or what he could have done is got involved with Trump and went by way of Sarah Huckabee Sanders or Nikki Haley, where he got off the Trump train in time, left with a respectable reputation. Kellyanne Conway's another, got off the Trump train, still got all the adoration and respect of the Republican Party. Giuliani rode on too long. He rode on to the part where the crash happened. So I don't see where it's going to come out. We have no evidence, just theories, says Giuliani. Anyhow, folks, I am on a lunch break live. I do want to take another caller, but unfortunately, I got to get back to my day job. I appreciate the 82,000, still almost 1,000 of you folks in here, so I do appreciate that. As always, if you enjoy civilized dialogue, both sides of the aisle, you're in the right place. Follow the program. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Take your YouTube. I don't know why I'm frozen, but hopefully you guys can still hear it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, but I do appreciate you folks rolling with your boy. Catch you tomorrow.